Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, July 29th, 2025. So, today is the beginning of Johnny's trial. Everybody is on edge and preparing to, testify against what really happened on the night of EJ's shooting. So, we start off with Roman and he's getting ready to leave. He's anxious because again he has a lot to do with bringing in the murder not the murder weapon but the weapon used to shoot EJ to the police, and also he was the one that actually concealed it. So he has a lot riding on this, and he's nervous about how it's gonna really either help his grandson's case or actually not help it. So Kate is checking in with him and saying that however the outcome of the trial is going to be, you're going to get through this. So she said that she's just coming back from work, and Roman, you can tell Roman is not really happy with her new career decision, but at the same time she offers to help him out while he's going to the trial. He was against it at first, but then he accepted her offer to actually help around the pub. So EJ is on his way to the courthouse and he runs into Chad, who's also on the way to the courthouse. And, you know, of course, they have to be unbiased because, again, yes, they're closely related. But, Chad is not going to want to do the dirty games like what EJ would want. EJ was asking him if he can, not go too hard on Johnny and make him look good and all of that. So Chad is not for it. Chad is just gonna tell the truth for what it is. Even though EJ said, yeah, you tell the truth, I will do the rest of the work, but just go easy and still make him look good. And Chad is not for it, which I agree, because why are you trying to intimidate your own brother or the witness to make your son the defendant look bad, right? So anyways, I agree with Chad, and kudos to Chad for standing his ground, and Leo the other day for standing his ground against EJ, because what EJ is doing is really trifling as the defendant's counsel, right? That's just so unethical. So Stephanie was on the phone trying to get through to EJ, and she was saying to him that I know you're at the trial, but I just wanted to see what you thought about a press release before I released it out there. So she left the voicemail, and Jada was there because Jada is getting ready to go to the courthouse herself to testify, right? So she's not really feeling Stephanie working for EJ. She's concerned, because of EJ's history and how much they hurt both of them. And Stephanie's aware of that and how EJ has hurt both of them and everybody else, but she wants the business, she needs to make the money, and she's gonna do what she has to do. She will be careful and definitely watch her back around him, but she's acting as the buffer between her mom and EJ in the situation. Is for the hospital at the end of the day. So Jada gets that, right? So anyways, the box that was sent to Stephanie weeks ago is still there, and Jade is saying, why aren't you opening? Because she said, it's probably from one of her old ex-boyfriends, and I'm trying to wrap my head about who could it be, because Bobby/Everett is dead, Alex is there, and Chad, I don't think Chad would have done that. So who else? I can't remember who Stephanie was linked to. Was it that Horton guy? I can't remember back then, but was their history that bad? I think his name is Nathan. Was she linked to Nathan at any time? I can't remember. And Frankie, I don't remember, right? Somebody tell me about her past history. But anyway, she's being childish, not opening, and Jada said, you just having it there is just torture. It might as well you just open it and get over it, right? She doesn't want to do it, so Jada leaves. She puts the box in the trash. She did go out to talk to Chad, which we'll talk about later on, but she did come back and Jada was already there because she did her little testimony. And she opened the box. Turns out it was a bag she ordered from way ago, and she didn't remember that she ordered it. But I don't understand this scene. What's the point? I thought it was gonna be a baby item from Joy or Chloe, whatever. That would have been more interesting. So Philip pays his mom a visit because he's surprised to see that she's at the pub. He missed her at work today. She said she had to come home shortly because Roman has a trial going on. So she's just helping him around with running the pub. So they sit down to talk, because he asks if he can keep her company. So he's just so interested to know that his mom is working for him and she's back in the company. And she said she's glad to be back, especially with what Xander has allegedly did to her son. It's good that she's in the company to keep an eye on him just in case. And she tells Philip, keep your friends close but keep your enemies closer. Watch out for Xander, which he did take to heed. He also talked about the whole publishing thing, and that the novel that she is a part of, it's definitely going to be a bestseller. So he asked about the identity of the author, and she said the author decided to use a pseudonym. And he just says, he doesn't really know a lot of people with that name, Anastasia Sands. So he's reading through the novel. She's telling him that she can't really do that because the author prefers to be anonymous. So he's putting two and two together based on the details of the novel. And he can picture himself, in those moments. So he's like, come on now, Stephanie. So she said, look, she doesn't want nobody to know that she's writing a erotic novel, and she's a PR executive. She doesn't want it going around. So he said he gets that, but it's probably going to be hard for that to be kept a secret because a lot of people, some of the information is semi-autobiographical, and people might put two and two and think it's about him or can see himself in them and whatever. So anyways, that was really their conversation. It was really about that, but I'm just saying this whole thing with the novel and Stephanie is super childish. So we're at the courthouse, and Belle, she sees Johnny, and Johnny is trying to walk away, and Belle said, look, no matter how the outcome of this trial is, you're my nephew, I love you, and I really want to see you walk free. So he said he gets that she has to do her job, and it is what it is, right? So it's a tough situation, but again, I question how this trial is going, because for one thing, in real life, I don't think this should fly. This is unethical. Belle, there's too much conflicts of interest, because Belle is his aunt. It's just too unethical for me. EJ representing him, he's the victim, and also the father. It's just too connected. There should have been like an unbiased thing with Justin representing, but then again, we know that Justin does not win cases. So I guess Melinda could have been the darn attorney. She's a shark when it comes down to these things. But anyways, the trial starts, and EJ sees her and passes her, because again, they have to try to keep it this professional. So Belle starts off with the opening statement. She definitely came gunning for EJ and his family, and that definitely they have a lot of enemies, and how is a conflict of interest that the father is representing his son, trying to protect his son from what he actually did. So her thing is to make sure that whatever the facts are, they're going to prove that Johnny actually shot his father, and that he will definitely be guilty for that, right? So her thing is to persuade the jury to think about that, and to use the facts to determine if he's guilty or not, right? So EJ and Johnny had a moment before the trial began, and he's saying to him that, look, I wish I could remember who actually did it, but don't worry, I got your back. So Johnny told him that his grandma Susan came by, and she's definitely confident that he's not the one that did the shooting. So EJ already know that it doesn't take a psychic to know that, and I have a pretty good feeling who might have done this. So Johnny's saying, look, if you're thinking about Chanel, do not drag her into this at all, right? So anyways, the trial starts, and after Belle did her opening statement, EJ wanted to object, but again, the judge overruled it, because again, they're open to do opening statements, and they shouldn't have no interruptions, right? He will be next to do his, and the same thing applies. So he goes in with his opening statement, and he says to the DA that, look, this case is not about me. I know my family has done a lot to a lot of people, and a lot of people are have it out against me, right? But this is not about me or my family. It's about actually proving my son innocence, right? he did not do it. I'm here to, defend him and all of that. And also, you know, a lot of the evidence is just flimsy, circumstantial. My intention is to prove that, my son John Roman Demera is innocent and he will definitely be exonerated. So I definitely liked how the trial was going. Definitely in tune. So if I missed little details here and there, forgive me because I was just so in tune that I even forgot a lot of the details. So please bear with me. So they called up Chad first to do his you know, I guess testimony. And he is up there and he Bell asks him first, like, look, where were you on the night of EJ shooting? How was it, like, when he found him, what really happened or transpired. She asked about how his relationship with Johnny and what was it like after EJ shooting. So Chad definitely went ahead and said that the relationship with his brother, yes, it's definitely complicated, but he wouldn't want nothing to do it to his brother. He would have been devastated if anything were to happen to him. And also, when he spoke with Johnny after the shooting, asked him to go visit him, Johnny's reaction was that, he doesn't care if he survives or not. He doesn't have nothing to say to him, right? So after that whole thing, EJ comes up and asks him, like, look, on the night of the shooting, take me back to it, what really happened. So he said there was nothing much more than the French doors to the outside were open. I came in and I didn't see nobody else. I didn't see Johnny. I only saw you bleeding out. And, I was doing everything that I can to make sure that, you were saved, right? So, it didn't really go anywhere. I don't know, but EJ is definitely represented his son to the max because, again, circumstantial evidence at its best. So Jada comes up and Belle also asks her some question, and she's asking her, did the bullets from the gun matches the gun that Roman Brady owned? And she said yes. Was it used on the night of EJ shooting? So she said yes. So at some point, EJ asked her some question as well and said that you also have motive to want me dead, right? Because of what I allegedly did to you and ruined your wedding and took your commissioner job. So she said yes. So he asked her further, did you talk to somebody about wanting that to happen to me? So she said yes, but she wanted to extend the button there. So he said, no further questions, right? Because I don't know why Jada felt like she had to explain her reason why she wanted to go, but EJ silenced her 2 times on that notice. So her thing was not going any further than that, right? So Chad sees Stephanie in the square and he's telling her that he just came from the trial, and Stephanie's hoping that EJ can get Johnny off and that he doesn't go to prison for what he didn't do. So he heard about her new job because he's on the board. He knows about the new hire, so he's just saying to just be careful. I love my brother and everything, but everybody attached to EJ always seem to get hurt, so just be careful. So Stephanie's like, yeah, I can handle EJ. I won't let him bully me around, and I won't compromise my values. So he asked her how's she doing with Alex, how everything is going, basically. So she said that everything is going well, and he can tell when somebody's happy, things are going smoothly. So she said all is well, and yeah, that was really, they was just catching up. That's it. So Roman is last on the stand for the day, and Belle asked him about the whole night of the shooting, how it went out, that he was the one who turned the gun into the police station. He said yes. So she said, did you also talk to Johnny on the night of the shooting? So he said yes. He told him about the whereabouts of the gun and that he kept it from them when they were kids, and he just kept it in the lockbox to be secure. But on the night of the shooting, he found that it was gone. And then she asked him, like, what did you do after? So he said that he tried to follow up to Johnny, but it was probably too late. He went to the Demare Mansion, and before he could go into there, he saw the gun in the planter. We already know what happened there. He took it, And before he could even go and see what's going on inside, the sirens were coming. So he's like, okay, EJ has been taken care of. So he went back to his place, cleaned the gun, and put it back, right? So Belle said, why wouldn't you bring it into the police station at the time? So he told her that it was to protect Johnny. And she asked him about the missing bullet that it came from your gun, and he said yes. So EJ also came in and said, like, I was once your son-in-law. And he said, yeah, twice. So he asked him, you know how did you like my relationship with your daughter Samantha? He said he did not like it. So Bella was like, this has no relevance, but he's like, follow through with me. So he said that, look, I you know, you probably had motive to want to see me dead and everything. So he's like, if you're asking that, I didn't shoot you. He said, yeah, you're a cop and you've had experience on there, because he's been a cop, he's been a detective, he's been a commissioner. So he knows how evidence can be circumstantial. And he asks Roman, like, look, um, did you see Johnny shoot the gun? So he said no. Did you see Johnny with the gun overall? He said no. But yeah, that was really it. He's trying to paint Roman to see if he's the one that probably shot him. But let's see how this goes tomorrow. It's definitely getting interesting and heating up. But let me know your comments on today's episode. It's definitely better than yesterday's episode. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys tomorrow.